A city like no other, filled with people from all over the world. No matter what your craving is, you can find it here. But if you're in the mood for Filipino food, take a trip to the east side. Authentic restaurants on every block. It's some of the best in the world, and it's found right here in Los Angeles, California. Today we meet a man who turned his barbecue hobby into a business.
Look at that. That is massive.
We're going to take care of everybody on this team and this squad.
Chef Barb takes us inside her Filipino food empire.
You're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I guess I am. I never really thought of myself that way, but yeah.
I mean, you got 2 stores on one street.
Yeah, I'm a restaurateur.
Yeah.
Chef Charles knows how to use every inch of the kitchen.
It's 275 square feet.
It's tiny.
It's tiny, but in this restaurant, everything's prepared here. Nothing's prepared in a different kitchen. There's no basement, there's no back room. Everything's here.
And Charles takes us to his other hip restaurant in the heart of Silver Lake. We kick off at the park's finest. It's a barbecue joint with a Filipino flair. It's an unforgettable experience here in the heart of Echo Park.
Welcome to historic Filipinotown, or at the outskirts of historic Filipinotown, Angelino Heights, downtown Los Angeles, the Temple Beverly Corridor, and of course, Echo Park.
I'm meeting Johneric today, and I'm going to be discovering about his life and also his calling, which is about food. So I'm going to taste the food that he has invented and made himself, and I want to learn a little bit more about growing up right here in the neighborhood.
The Park's finest came from a comic book shop located on Park Avenue and Glendale Boulevard.
Okay.
As local kids, we had to walk and traverse through the community to get to this comic book shop. And it was an adventure through...
Just going through
the neighborhood to get to a place that was a haven and allowed us to learn how to read. From there, we learned that as everybody's kids had a crew or a clique or a posse or a gang.
Yeah.
We created a crew of barbecue, hobbyists.
Yep.
And we called ourselves the Park's finest. We were lucky enough to open up a restaurant where we've grown up, utilizing the services to develop our business plan and programming and support, capital campaign support from our own community. I mean, it's the American dream, but also very rare for it to happen. Actually, my mother was our first client for her Sweet 60.
Yep.
So we did a Sweet 60 party, and she paid us in advance. That allowed us to purchase the smoker that we used to start our company.
Isn't that great? And it's still going today, right?
It's still going today. We utilize it for big festivals, for celebrations, weddings. The volume of the smoker allows us to cook for extremely large events.
Right.
But now we've also graduated to internal smokers inside the restaurant, as well as portable smokers for smaller personal private events.
I love it. Again, the food today, what are we going to have today, and how's it prepared?
So we do American cuts of barbecue with a Filipino flavor.
Big flavour, and I'm loving this Filipino hospitality.
Oh my gosh. There's only 2 of us here. How much food is going to come out? And there's more coming as well.
This is just 10%.
There's more. Look at that. That looks pretty damn good. And there's still more coming.
This is half of the proteins.
They keep bringing me food. And more. And more. Wow. If you love meat, you are going to love this place. And look at the spread here. I mean, if this is Filipino hospitality, bring it on. What's Filipino in here?
So the seasoning are primarily the main focus of how this becomes Filipino.
Okay.
So we season with salt, pepper, garlic, onion, but a blend.
There's so much meat here. I'm keen to taste it. I've tasted barbecue all around America. I want to taste this and see what it's like.
So that is our pulled pork, cooked confit style. So we cook it for 16 hours. Wow. Being able to slow smoke it while it's rendering in its own fat. We drain the fat, of course, but it's a way to baste it.
You know what? That's really moist. You know, sometimes pork can be dry. That pork
Next, we have our tri-tip. So that's a sirloin cut that is familiar to California ranchers. That's now slowly spread to the barbecue consumer.
And this is a
horseradish. That's a Mexican crema horseradish sauce that pairs well with the beef.
Love that. Oh my gosh. I can see why this place is always full, because the food here is so good. If you love meat, you are going to love this place. Let's do the chicken, shall we?
So that is seasoned with olive oil, pink Himalayan salt, our seasoning. It seems like it has a breading, but it's really just seasoning.
It does seem like it's got a bread on there. The chicken does taste breaded, but it's not bread. There's no bread on that. And it's just cooked to perfection. So over here I can see that there's some sausage here.
So we have a sweet Filipino longanisa, a spicy red hot, as well as a Louisiana kielbasa.
This one here.
That's our red hot. So that is the higher tier of our hot link medley. That's from Bar M.
Wow.
Local purveyor.
Lucky we got some beer here because that is really hot. Oh, that is really hot. That is so hot. I need water. I have beer.
Yeah, the heat comes on. So it's one of those things that you get variety. So instead of just ordering one dish, when you pair it up with the sauces, when you pair it up with rice, and of course our other sides, it's fun food.
Fun and delicious. The park's finest offers some must-try barbecue. What started as a humble venture has turned into a Filipino empire. Chef Barb has 2 storefronts on one street. She creates healthy Filipino classics without sacrificing any of the flavour.
Today we're meeting Barb, who has 2 storefronts here on a street in West LA, and has recently opened up a restaurant which is serving Filipino food done her style. So it's a little bit of tasting her whole family, because they're all her family ingredients and recipes. So I'm looking forward to trying that out. So what happened here? What was the inception? Why did you even want to do this?
I think I wanted to do it for quite a long time. It's really, my mom always wanted to open what you call a turo store, which is point.
Yeah.
You know, and they had all the different dishes, the Filipino dishes, and you go into a restaurant and you'd point at the things that you'd like. So when we opened BSweet, the dessert bar, which was 5 years ago, there was always this thought, one day I want to open a Filipino food restaurant.
In honor of your mom and your dad.
Really, yeah, it is. Or just even my family.
She has such a great story, you know. This is such a warm, beautiful person, and you can really see her commitment to her culture and Filipino food. This is a great little concept store. Well, this is the thing about Filipino food. I mean, the original Filipino food can be kind of a little bit unhealthy sometimes, right? Because it's kind of like deep fried and, I mean, but you got a different take on it, right?
A little bit. I mean, yeah, it is known to be greasy, a little bit oily, kind of sitting in oils. You know, when you go to certain Filipino places, you'll just kind of see it kind of swimming in that. Yeah. But when my father was in his 40s, he got very ill, he had a heart attack.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And my mom said, that's it, no more Filipino food for you. And he was like, no, that's not going to happen. So she changed her cooking up a bit. She started cooking with leaner meats. She used olive oil a lot for the foods, and she would cook a little bit more healthy without sacrificing the flavor.
These dishes really pack a punch. Even with leaner meats, they taste just as great, and they look even better.
The colour of food is just as important as the flavours, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, Filipino food does not have a lot of colour. I have to be truthful.
Well, this has.
Mine does.
Okay, there we go.
And my grandmother's did, and that's what makes it so cool to me. I mean, the beautiful colors that come out of it, you know, and adding a little bit of some spices that maybe others wouldn't add just to bring out those colors. I mean, you'll see tocino sometimes, and it's not this bright red color, but I love that. I mean, you eat with your eyes, so you want to make sure that it's enticing.
Well, I feel as if I'm going to taste your culture right now. I'm tasting your story. I'm
excited for that.
Your parents are here, everyone's here, so which one should we do first?
Let's do the chicken and double.
Okay. So
this is one of my favorites for sure. And I've done different versions of it, but this one's my favorite.
Yeah, this is great. Love what's going on here. You can just smell the marinade. I mean, what's in that?
So there's soy sauce in there, there's a lot of garlic, a lot of onion. Filipino dishes always start with sauteing garlic and onion.
Okay.
And it's so important, and I love that because you get so much flavor from that.
Oh my gosh.
That's tender.
That chicken is really good and really melts in your mouth. There's no fat in it.
There is not fat. Again, what we talked about earlier is, you know, my mom was cooking with leaner cuts of meats.
When you bite into the chicken, you can taste the wonderful flavors. The garlic is really quite strong, and served with rice is the perfect accompaniment.
That's the pork tocino. So it is pork shoulder.
Yep.
We slice it really thin and we marinate it.
Love the color.
Yeah.
This is a little more fatty than the other one because
Slightly, yeah. I mean, you know, there's you can leave a little bit on there, but a lot of times you'll find it, like what we talked about earlier, was it's a bit too fatty, you know, but you want to leave a little bit of that because that brings out a lot of flavor.
This pork, the color looks really red and beautiful, but tastes really good. I'm so glad it has a little bit of fat on there as well, because that's exactly what you need to have with a pork dish like this.
Tocino is sometimes known really more as a breakfast meat, like our sausage or our bacon. But, you know, I like to serve it at lunch.
Every dish here is fun. It's healthy, it's full of flavour, without sacrificing any of the taste. This place is very small, with only 7 seats. It really is a hole in the wall. But even in such a small space, Chef Charles sure knows how to use every inch of the kitchen.
We're in downtown Los Angeles and the place is kind of grooving, and occasionally you'll come across a good little hole in the wall. And today I'm visiting one of those. Not quite a restaurant. I saw it in a review where it says barely a restaurant. Why would someone say it's barely a restaurant?
Because it is. I mean, it's 275 square feet of...
It's tiny.
It's tiny, but in this restaurant, everything's prepared here. Nothing's prepared in a different kitchen. There's no basement. There's no back room. Everything's here.
Charles is actually a chef and learnt French cuisine, and he's gone on to go back to his roots and go back to his Filipino cuisine. So it's going to be great to taste some of his rice bowls today.
What I wanted was to really emulate the kitchens of the Philippines.
Okay.
Because growing up, we had an outside kitchen, so the main dining room wouldn't smell.
Yeah.
So in that outside kitchen, we had 2 stoves, and we had a cook that cooked we were a family of 10.
Oh my gosh.
Cooked 3 meals, starting at 5 in the morning, and there was always food on the table.
This is the thing about Filipinos. Food is such a massive part of who you are.
Yes.
Like, it's more than any other culture that I've engaged with or been to. You guys eat.
We eat a lot, and you know, I've been blessed that my family, my mom and dad, surrounded us with good food and great memories.
Yeah, that's great.
That I constantly chase.
Yeah. Well, what are we cooking today?
So what we're doing here today is a pork tocino.
Charles shows me exactly what makes this dish so great. And one thing is for sure, I was not expecting this much sugar.
The most important thing about tocino is an inverse ratio of salt and sugar.
Okay.
Normally, when you're curing something, it's normally 70% salt, 30% sugar. So we're gonna reverse that ratio. So we're gonna be really sugar heavy.
Wow. Well, I can't believe how much sugar he uses. Like, this is going to taste really sweet. It's going to be very sweet then, right?
Not, yeah, you'll be surprised. No. And then the pineapple juice.
Which is sweet as well.
It's more for the acidity.
Okay.
And the bromelain. So that's the chemical that pineapple has that helps tenderize the meat.
Pineapple, what a great idea. I've never seen pineapple being used for the curing process, but obviously you need that acidity. I wouldn't have thought that pineapple had enough, but it seems like this is a great way to go. All right, let's do this. So I have a little bit of meat here. Put a bit of everything on there, if I can.
Make sure you use a spoon as a shovel for your rice.
Oh, yum. Oh, yeah. Oh. So good.
So everything is there for a reason. It's not just for color. It really complements the cured meat.
Hey, that's really great and not as sweet as I thought it was going to be. Do you know what's interesting? The meat, I can't taste too much sugar, but in the fat, I can taste the sugar because the fat absorbs sugar more. Yeah. Which even makes it taste even better.
And then when you actually get to the meatier side of the tocino, then it's just meaty.
Filipino food is obviously all about meat. That's kind of what I'm getting from this. This is great. I mean, this is awesome. And this is the only restaurant you have?
No, I have another one. We opened Ma'am Sir in Silver Lake last year. And it's been good. It's been very busy. You want to check it out?
I do want to check it out. I'm so glad Charles invited us to his other restaurant. It's more upscale, right?
There's more seats.
Okay.
Upscale is debatable.
Okay.
But it's definitely a little bit more put together.
If Charles can make this much magic in just a few hundred square feet, I wonder what he can do with a full-size kitchen. Charles takes me to his other restaurant, Ma'am Sir. There are definitely more tables and it has a really cool vibe. The decor is modern and slick, and there's a certain warmth about this place that makes you kind of feel at home.
Being in Silver Lake, it kind of gave me the freedom to be more expressive and to create a fun environment. You know, having all of that experience through the years at RiceBar and seeing what people really wanted. That's 4 years of R&D essentially.
Yeah.
So when we saw this space,
Love the space. I love this space.
just the high ceiling, everything about it.
Yeah.
It was very natural to create the Filipino party vibe.
Love the interior of the restaurant. It's kind of got like that diner kind of, you know, with having some booths. But I want to understand more about the decor here. What's going on? There's like, it's got a tropical kind of vibe or something.
You know, I wanted to evoke the beach.
Yeah. Well, we've got the you know, the plants falling from, you know, and we've got the cool wallpaper. You know, it's got that lights and it's cool.
So it's just 3 parts. So one would be the beach, one would be the cosmopolitan life of Manila.
Yep.
And third is our house.
Yeah.
You know, we've had this section in the house growing up that kind of looks like this. That I kind of kept it near and dear to me.
Yeah.
So when we found the space, it kind of just all melded together, and this is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna showcase Filipino food.
Down to every detail, this place evokes Filipino culture. And all of it comes back to this man right here.
Growing up in Manila,
Yes.
it's a busiest. I think it's one of the busiest cities in the world. to go. I mean, people complain about LA traffic.
Yes.
If you want to go 3 blocks, it's going to take you an hour.
That's not an exaggeration. That is correct.
I know.
Yes, and I lived half my life in Manila, and
Okay.
half of my life is in the province, Pampanga.
Okay.
So I like to give all the nod to Pampanga for giving me the sense of family and sense of the importance of food in the table.
Yeah.
So I would give that all to Pampanga.
Yeah. I
Yes.
mean, I spent some time in the Philippines, and
Yes.
you eat every hour.
Yes. And no one's overweight.
How does that work?
I really don't know. You know, to me, every time we go there every year because my family, we're 7 kids, 6 siblings, and everybody's been getting married the past couple of years. So every time I'm there, even for just 5 days, I gain 10 pounds. And I already watch out what I'm eating. Wow. Maybe because I'm a little older now.
Yeah, maybe. Talking to Charles, he's a really good, down-to-earth guy. He loves America, and obviously loves where he's come from, the Philippines as well.
I moved to America because I wanted to be in America.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
I love America. That's why I moved here. And yeah, the only thing that I hated was probably not sitting down with my family every Sunday.
Yeah.
Then that's when everything started to click. I was like, I had it good.
Yeah.
Even, you know, my parents would always say, you don't know what you have till you leave.
That's so true.
You know, my dad would always tell me, he's like, we raised you this way so you don't have to feel this way. But at the back of my mind, it was always like, you know what? Challenge accepted. Let me struggle. So that's partly the reason why I left the Philippines, was to get out of the comfort zone and really find myself.
Yeah.
And struggle I did.
Interesting learning about his French education and how it's had a big impact on his local food. Going to culinary school and learning French and more Western ways of cooking.
Yes.
How is what we're going to eat today been affected by that?
I think just being able to create proper, I like to call it the roadmap to how it is.
Yeah.
Because from my experience, when you ask my grandmother or family cook, oh, you just do it like this, you just do it like that. It's very intuitive.
Yeah, rather than scientific, right?
Rather than scientific. So it was really finding that balance of cooking with your heart and cooking with intention, and at the same time having enough instructions to get there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've learned with the Western world, you know. And with all my French chefs, they teach me a recipe, but every time I make it for them, they're like, it's good, but it's missing something. You know, every time I do something, and it's only through repetition and through doing it and through eating it, then he'd be like, you know what, you're getting there, but you're not there. Okay. But in my head, it's like, I follow the recipe to the T, and how come it's not tasting the same? But now, on my end, now I know why it's like that.
Okay.
Because with my staff here, it's like, chef, this is what you told me to. It's like, I know, but it's just like maybe a quarter turn of pepper just very, very nuanced. The nuances of the cuisine, I feel you get that with how rich your experience is with the cuisine. It's not just like coming there for 6 months and learning it. You know, I lived it, I live it, I crave it, and yeah, that's what I'm doing now.
Okay, so what are we eating today?
We're doing our chicken adobo, our garlic fried rice, and
Filipino, so Filipino. Both those dishes.
and our lumpia.
What is that?
Our lumpia is our spring roll. It's a spring roll that brought to the Chinese in the Philippines. It's one of the quintessential dishes in the Philippines. But, you know, with what we make here, you'll see, hopefully, what I've learned in my training that I've kind of put into that little roll of paper.
Every mother, grandmother, and chef has their own unique spin to this classic meal. And I'm excited to try what Charles has cooked up.
All right, let's try this. This looks really good. So what have we got in here?
We have there the Trinity.
The Holy Trinity.
Trinity of the adobo. So we have soy sauce, garlic, and vinegar.
So it's really simple.
And, sorry, not the Trinity. And then there's like 5 other things. There's bay leaf and a little bit of water.
Love this. Just smells so good. Wow.
So this adobo is...
really impacting. This is very different than the first adobo I tried. This one here is kind of like a lot more raw and kind of peeled back. Not as sweet, but I really like it. This is a really hearty meal.
Yes.
Which I find interesting from coming to the Philippines, which is such a warm country, that you would want a hearty meal like that.
Right. And that's probably the hardest thing to turn over here, like how heavy our meals are.
Yep.
But no one wants to eat that way over here. You know, like we have heavy braises, you know, that needs to be eaten with lots of rice. But it's still hard to eat that way here. So it's, you know, for us, at least here at Mamster, we've had to balance the meal out so people can enjoy it the way they want to.
Yeah, this is great.
You're welcome.
If I lived locally, this is where I'd be on a Friday night every week.
You should be.
Oh, this is great. Let's try the spring roll.
Yes.
So what's that on top right there?
So that is Santa Barbara sea urchin.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So this is what I was saying a while ago about hopefully all my training would kind of get in here and people would enjoy what's in that little piece.
Wow. There is so much going on because inside we have wonderful flavors and the spring rolls, the taste. There's so much going on inside of the spring roll. And the sea urchin on top gives it that sea flavor. The sea urchin obviously gives it more meatiness to the whole thing and gives it a real sea flavor.
And then now you do this.
Okay. There we go. That's what I'm talking about right there.
So anything in cuisine, it's always salt, fat, acid, right? Salt, fat, acid, and that's a cuisine. You know, we have a very limited pantry, and we just try to fix it to the best of our abilities, and that you have a perfect meal.
This is perfect as far as I'm concerned. All right, and this bread. This is the bread that you're talking about.
This is the pan de sal. This is something that I search every time I land.
It tastes like a donut. The bread's really sweet. It tastes like a donut. I didn't expect that.
It's funny because it's pan de sal, but you know, which translates to bread of salt. But it's actually a tad sweet.
Very sweet.
But
I mean, maybe it's not as sweet as what I thought, but I wasn't expecting any sweetness.
Right.
So that's it's just so nice.
So it kind of just offsets everything in your meal, at least it's supposed to, and give it balance.
With over 3 million Filipino people living in Los Angeles, Filipino food and culture have made Los Angeles a better place to live. Thanks for coming on the tour with us. Join us next time as we continue our tasting journey through America.